Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where today we are going to do no-fail dinner rolls. And I love this recipe. It makes beautiful rolls, absolutely beautiful rolls. I have a roll recipe that I have used for over 50 years, and it is my family favorite, my go-to favorite. It is a refrigerator roll recipe, and we have done a video on it. I'll attach that video to the end of this video. It is a refrigerator roll recipe, and you have to refrigerate the dough overnight. And then it takes, when you take it out of the refrigerator the next morning, shape the rolls right after you take it out of the refrigerator. And then it takes a long time for the rolls to rise because the dough was in the refrigerator, and so it's very cold. And so it is a long time. This recipe you can be over and done with and have beautiful rolls on your dinner table in just under 3 hours. I love this recipe not only because it is, I call it fast, because compared to my other roll recipe, this one is very fast. But another thing is that it is very, very versatile. Once we get later into the video, I'm going to show you what else we can do with this roll dough, and we will be doing a follow-up video with the variations that I think you will be very pleased with. Now, because this is no fail, we can't assume that it is just throw it together and it's going to be just fine. It takes some careful attention to the method that we're going to use. I'm going to give you some pretty big hints about how to make rolls that are no fails. So you might want to go to the description of this video on your device and just copy and paste the recipe over to something that you can print it out to have in front of you. Many of you already have our book that is Baking Bread for Survival and Enjoyment. And this is a wonderful bread book. It has other roll recipes and lots of bread recipes in it. This recipe would be a really good one to print it off, 3-hole punch it, and put it in your binder where you have this, this as well. And I do have the link for this one in case you don't have it and would like to look it over. I have the link also under the description of the video. The first thing that I'm going to do is put 1.5 cups of milk into the microwave for about 1.5 minutes. Notice that I have used a container that is much larger than the 1.5 cups of milk because I'm going to be adding some other things to this while the milk is hot. And it is important that you do heat the milk, and I get it up to about 130 degrees in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes. Okay, so I checked the temperature and it's up to 140 degrees. I actually added another 30 seconds, so it was in the microwave for 2 minutes. So 140 is just fine. Now what we need to do is cool this down to 110 or lower so it doesn't mess with the yeast. And so I'm going to put the butter in here, and I want to talk about this in just a minute. Let me get it in here first. And also the honey. All right, we're going to let those sit. Now, a couple of things. We waited until after the microwave was finished because of the sound. The sound of my microwave and my oven fan bothers some people, so we're going to try to avoid that. But if we were not doing this video while the microwave was running, I would have been measuring the dry ingredients. So we're going to do that now. So I'm putting the bowl of my stand mixer on my scale, and then I'm going to turn this on. Now, the recipe, if you've printed it off, you will notice that there are some choices that you need to make. You can choose whatever sweetener you want. I chose honey, but you could also use maple syrup or just regular sugar. Also, in terms of the fat, you can use ghee or butter or shortening. In any combination, you can mix and match or whatever you'd like. I prefer to use ghee. But today I decided I was going to use just plain butter. I had 1/2 cup of butter in my refrigerator that was getting a little bit old, so I just decided to use that. Now, the other thing that you want to be very sure of is that your yeast is active. Now, if you've just bought it at a grocery store, we're going to use 1 envelope or 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in this. I used yeast that I just pulled out of my freezer. We bought this in 2022, and so it is 3 years old. It has been in my freezer for 3 years. And so I tested this to be sure that it was still good. And this yeast was perfectly fine, so that's what we'll be using today. The recipe calls for 5 cups of flour, or it is the same as about 720 grams of all-purpose flour. Now, I always weigh my flour. I like the weight measurement rather than the volume measurement. It is more accurate. 5 cups is about 720, but if you read the recipe carefully, we don't put all 5 cups in at first. We put only 4.5 cups in, and there's a really good reason for that. And the 4.5 cups is 650 grams. So we're going to go for 650 grams of, this is just King Arthur unbleached all-purpose flour. We take that other half cup and set it aside. And then I'm going to add the rest of the dry ingredients. And that includes 2 teaspoons of salt, the yeast, which I've already said is 1 packet or 2 1/4 teaspoons. And then I am going to add 1 teaspoon of diastatic malt powder. And this is wonderful stuff. I have just recently started using it on recommendation from someone that I trust, and I've done some research on it. And the starch, it breaks down the starch in the dough and turns it into sugar, which gives more food for the yeast. And what that does for the dough, it produces a little bit of a faster rise, which is great, but it also is a higher rise, and it impacts the texture and the taste just a little bit. It's not a malt taste at all, but it just tastes so light, just like a cloud. Now, I have made this recipe with and without, and it works just fine both ways. So that's what this is, 1 teaspoon. It's not very much. It doesn't take very much. And then I'm going to put this on my stand mixer, put the scraper in place, and put the roller in place. This is an Ancresham. I love it, especially for bread. I love how it kneads, and we'll be showing you that. All right, so the dry ingredients are pretty well mixed. We need to check the liquid, the temperature of the liquid, to be sure that it is lower than 110 degrees. It is 108, so we are good to go. Now, I'm also going to add the egg to this. You can add the egg separately right into your stand mixer if you want, but I just like to get that egg whipped up with the rest of the liquid ingredients here. And if your mixture is too hot, you can also add that egg to cool it down some. And now we are ready to add our liquid. So here's what's going to happen next. We're going to add the liquid to the flour, and it is going to be way, way too sticky. That's what we want, because the critical thing about a good roll recipe is the dough needs to be very soft. We're going to get it to that softest stage by adding the remaining flour a little bit at a time until we reach the right consistency, and I'll show you how that looks. So it is on mix. Nice warm liquid going in. Turning it up just a little. Now, if you see, we have some of the dough sticking to the bottom, and we can tell right now that it is way too sticky. So let's start adding flour. Getting there. Now I'm going to go ahead and move the roller to the side and turn it up, and we're going to start the kneading process to see as the dough starts to knead if it's going to pick up all that extra or if we need to add more flour. So what we have here is I've used up all the flour called for in the recipe, but my dough isn't right yet. And so I'm going to go ahead and put some more flour in this cup. Many things can be affecting what's going on in there, the humidity, the temperature, and it varies every single time we make a bread recipe how much flour is required. We're just being very careful about the amount of flour this time. I believe that we have enough flour now, and I have just set the timer on the mixer for 8 minutes. We're going to knead it for 8 minutes, and when we come back, that bowl should be completely clean and the dough will be very soft. So we'll see you then. So it should be finished up any minute. You can see how clean the bowl is. I didn't add any more flour. All right, so there we are. So here is our lump of dough. It is soft, it is supple, it is smooth, and if I were to just knead this a couple of times, and you can do this whole kneading thing by hand if you wish, you can stir it and then add the flour gradually the same way that I did, but look at this beautifully smooth ball. Now, the next step is the bulk fermentation, which means that we're going to cover it, and we do not want this dough to dry out. So if you cover it with a tea towel, you might also want to then put some kind of a plastic bag over the top of it so that it is airtight. I love these little Cambro 6-quart containers for proofing because they are airtight. And let's see, I want to move this rubber band down. To where it is just even with this roll dough. Each of my recipes has a different level. And then I'm going to watch for it to double. And it's going to take about an hour. And so we will be back when this is doubled and ready for shaping. Well, here we go. Check this out. Beautiful. Doubled in size, and it took just a little bit over an hour. Now what happens next is we're going to pull this out, and I'm just going to lightly press it to sort of deflate it a bit. And then I'm going to cut it in half. This is just convenience. And I'm going to put the 1/2 under there to keep it moist so that it doesn't dry out. We live in the desert and things dry out very fast. Now, if you've printed out the recipe and read, what you know is that these rolls take about 70 grams, between 2 and 2.5 ounces of dough. And I like my rolls to be very uniform, so I have my scale out here. And I'm going to be cutting these into 70 grams. Well, that didn't work. That's about 68 grams. Once I get the feel for it, then I can usually guess it pretty well. Okay, so about that much dough. And then I'm just going to set these off to the side. All right, we have enough to start with, and so now I'm going to show you how I shape rolls. So I just put the dough down and bring everything into the center. And then turn it, and under my cupped hand, I just swirl it around on the countertop, and it turns into a beautiful roll. Now I recommend using glass. This is ceramic, this is Staub. I have to admit that I splurged a little bit for this 3-piece set. It is beautiful. I have baked in these. I absolutely love how they baked. But if you have a Pyrex larger baking dish, just use that, or even pie plates will work as well, glass pie plates. So whatever you might have is fine. I just checked the price on these, by the way, and I paid $99 for this set of 3. They are now on sale for $69. I'm seriously thinking of getting, they come in 4 different colors. They're beautiful. And you'll see how pretty they are, how pretty the rolls are after they are baked. But in any case, we'll see what happens. So here we go. And I'm going to continue doing this whole set until we get finished, and I'll bring you back when we have the rolls ready. Well, here we are. We turned out just exactly even on those 70-gram rolls, and I'm going to be putting this in the grocery bag. These need to double in size. And this one, I believe, fits my food covers. Yes. And we'll probably at this for another hour. So we will be back when they're all risen, and then I'll show you what comes next before we put them in the oven. Well, these have risen, doubled in size, and are now ready to go into the oven. So I am brushing them with an egg wash. This is a whole egg with about a tablespoon of water. And I whisked it together, so it's just a little wash here. And these are going to rise significantly higher as they bake. They're going to go into a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then when we take them out of the oven, we can brush them with butter. That's optional, and I usually don't. So these are ready to go into the oven, and they can both fit in. My oven is wide, so these will both fit in on the same rack. So we will bring you back when we're taking them out of the oven, and then I'm going to show you the other variations that we can do with this roll recipe. I'm so excited to show these to you. This is how they turned out. They are so beautiful. They've been out for about 5 minutes. I wanted to give the oven fan time to turn off so the sound wouldn't disturb people. So we're going to pull one out. The reason that I really love these Staub pans is because the heat is so even, and and it holds the heat for a really, really long time. So here's the bottom. That was a little bit of the shortening that I that I greased the pans with, so that's why it's that way. But it's still just a nice color brown. Look how light and airy these are. Just so wonderful. And then also, these can just go from oven to table. This is my dinnerware right here. So you can see that the color is perfect for just putting the pan like this right on the table, and the rolls will stay warm in this pan for a really long time throughout the entire meal. And so this is just great. So we're gonna have a little taste test, and just look how beautiful these are. So, oh, they're just, I'm ruining this one, but because it's so hot.
It's supposed to be eaten.
Yeah, that's true. So you can see how airy and lovely it is on the inside. So I'm just going to pull off a little piece. They taste fabulous. They taste just absolutely wonderful. So I want to show you what else we can do with this roll recipe. Oh, that's so good. Now this was a recent batch that I made. Hoagie rolls, hamburger buns, and also hot dog buns, which we already ate. Jim loves these hoagie rolls. He just loves to fill them up with his favorite fillings. We bake these just a little bit differently, but we bake these on a flat baking sheet, and I'll show you how to do that in an upcoming video. I think it will be out in a couple of weeks, where we show how to take that lump of dough, weigh it, and calculate how many of each one of these we're going to do. So be sure that you copy off the recipe and have it printed out. We're not going to show making the dough again. We're going to show it from when we shape the dough. So that will be the next video in this 2-video series on these fabulous no-fail dinner rolls. So thanks for being with us, and we will see you shortly with more videos.